This is CCNP Pro for the ipv6 peering project. You can visit us on Reddit at reddit.com/r/ipv6 peering project. Today I'll be going over a Linux setup and getting your Linux box connected to tunnelbroker.net, as well as being able to ping out to the rest of the ipv6 world. And we'll also be creating our first sit tunnel to another peer, simply because it's only a couple extra commands and it's not worth its own video. So we're going to tie both in today. So let's get started on that. First things first, you're going to have to head on over in the browser to tunnelbroker.net and sign up for an account. It's pretty quick to sign up, and all you really need is your own Linux box IP4 address to do it. So let's take a look at some things that we're going to be using today. First, we're going to look at server IPv4 address. That's going to be the IP version 4 address of tunnelbroker.net's tunnel server. Server IPv6 address, same thing, it's only an IPv6 version of it. Client IPv4 address, like I said, that's the IP address of your Linux box. And client IPv6 address is the IP version 6 address that tunnelbroker.net has given you for your side of the tunnel. So let's get started. Let's get into our Linux box here. First thing we're going to do is do a mod probe sit and mod probe IP6 tunnel. That's going to turn on sit tunneling and turn on IPv6 tunneling so that we can start doing some IPv6 work on our Linux machine here. Next, we're going to create our first tunnel. This is going to be the tunnel to tunnelbroker.net, and the command for this one is iptunnel add sit3. That's the interface you're going to call it. I happen to be using sit3 because my first sit ones are in use, but you can pick any number. You just need to remember it for later because you'll be using that interface a lot. This is the main interface out to the internet for your IP6 box. Alright, so once you pick a nice interface number, we're going to do mode sit. That's telling it we want a tunnel. It's going to be a sit tunnel. Remotes 209.51.161.14 is my tunnelbroker.net server IPv4 address. Yours might be different. And local is your local Linux box IP address. And let me just punch mine in here. Okay, so that just created our ifconfig sit3 tunnel. It gave it a remote and a local IPv4 address, but now we have to tell it it's going to move over to IP version 6. So let's bring it up first before we do that. IP link set sit3 up and IP-6 ADDR change 2001 for 7. This is my IP version 6 address that was given to me by tunnelbroker.net, and you want to tell it that interface that you used earlier. In my case, it's going to be sit3. And finally, we just need to add a routes all add inet6. It's going to be IP version 6 add /0. It says everything that's IP version 6 needs to go out sit3, that new interface we just created. And that's that for tunnelbroker.net. So let's do a ping test, see if we can get our IP6 to ping out. So for Linux, you always have to do a ping 6 for IP version 6. The regular ping command will just give you an error and it won't understand what you're trying to do. So let's do a ping 6. That's 1, and I'm just going to ping the tunnelbroker.net end to that tunnel just to make sure I have connectivity. That's going to be a .1, and you have to tell it the interface for this ping, so it's going to be out of sit3. It's looking good. It's coming back. If you see any kind of errors at this point, it's most likely because you're missing this default route or you missed a IP address somewhere. And there you go. One more time. So now that we have tunnelbroker.net all set up and we're able to ping out to the IPv6 world, let's create our first peer connection. So in this video, I'm going to be connecting to, let's see, who's a good choice. How about we connect to my other box here? The important information we'll be needing is the tunnel address and the internet tunnel peering address. This is the main one here. This is his tunnelbroker.net ipv6 address. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that because I'll be needing that for later. And let's get started. So let's do ip-6 tunnel add. We're making a new tunnel here. I'm going to go ahead and call this one sit4. Actually, no, let's call this sit2. Mode IP6. It's just a regular straight through IP6 tunnel. We're not converting it to IP4 or anything like that. You're going to do the same as the other tunnel, so we're going to do a remote. Only in this case, we'll be using that IP6 address that I just copied over. That peer. And we need a local. So let's do local. That's your IPv6 address from tunnelbroker.net. That's that. So that tunnel is up. We just need to IP link set sit2 up, turn it on, and we need to give the tunnel an actual IP address. What we did earlier was tell it where it's going, where it's coming from, but we need to give an actual IP address for this tunnel. So we're going to do ip-6 addr change to assign an IP address, fe80. I'm going to do 82. 82 is from our addressing table. As you can see down here, I am fe88n, and that n stands for the peer number of the peer I'm connecting to, in this case number 2. So 82, it's going to be a /64, and you need to tell it that we're using device sit02. That's that new tunnel we just created right here. And that's that for peering with another person just over a straight IP-6 tunnel. That's not setting up any kind of routing protocol or anything. This is just a straight through tunnel, but we should be able to ping the other side of it. So we're going to do a ping 6 fe80 to 8 would be his side of the tunnel, because his peer number is 2 and he'd be connecting to my peer 8. We don't need the /64, and we need to tell it that the interface is out of sit2. Alright, it's coming up. So that's your introduction to tunnelbroker.net and IPv6 tunneling to another peer on the Reddit peering project using a Linux box. Next time we'll be doing some BGP on a Linux box using Quagga. It's pretty straightforward, it's pretty simple. It's mostly like the Cisco version, if you see that video. But that'll be next time. That's all for today.